This Vegas market, you're about to receive two ASID Andes Awards, which is very, very exciting.
It
And
is very grateful.
congratulations. It's obviously like a great accomplishment and great PR. So there are so many business growth marketing strategies that get leveled at interior designers, looking to up level their businesses, hire PR, get published, do show houses, join ASID and be active on social, all this stuff. Which
It's
of
yeah,
those things would you attribute your success to?
it's honestly overwhelming. I mean, I think it's important to acknowledge that. And I really appreciate that you do acknowledge that because I think when you're a serious businesswoman or man and you're a designer, you're an artist because you're putting your heart out there all the time and you have to make a living. It's like a fine artist, right, who paints for a living. It's a huge risk like every day of your life. So you're already kind of like hard on your sleeve and out there and putting everything forward. And then it's like this onslaught of shoulds. Should. You're not enough if you're not this. You're not enough if you're not that. You have to be an LLC. No, you should be a corporation. No, you should do this. And it's just like it's so much. And it can feel like you're being judged by people you don't even know. And I think the key first thing you have to do is really get honest with yourself about the kind of business you want to run. I mean, if you want to be, the do all, be all, end all of every blessed thing, and you have the personality that can handle that, I think that's fantastic. And props to you. That is not me at all. I mean, I lean very heavily on my local retailers and craftspeople and contractors and subcontractors. And after 17 years, which sounds very strange to say out loud, I now have key teams of people that I can trust almost with my life, which is pretty incredible to say. But their support is why I'm doing so well. Their support and God's blessing, frankly. These ASID awards, so the one for Best Residential Project of the Year is because my good friends who have an incredible retail store lent me everything. I packed it up. I put it out in the space. We photographed it. I packed it all back up and took it back to their store. That's why it photographs so well. It's not because I waved this magic wand and made it all happen by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And their referrals and their confidence in me lends to great clients finding me. And I think it's the old school way of saying word of mouth is everything, but word of mouth is everything. When our local plumbing supplier, Sean Rollins, has Abe's Plumbing, we get along so well. And I love working on specifying houses with him because he knows right away, what can I get? What can I not get? What's going to show up in my client's house in a timely way? What's going to be trapped on a ship or at a port because of the new child labor law thing where they go through every ship all over again and it's ruined our shipping yet again. But when he tells clients who are looking to redo their bathroom or their kitchen or build a house, oh, Wendy's really great, you should work with her, they believe him.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, because of my personality, I love and need people. And then when they have a good experience, they refer me and we just all keep working together in this happy circle of life and we all get to do well and cheer for each other. That's honestly been the most important part of the work that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, originally when I first started, I was terrified and House was just getting going. And I had this really darling account executive, Ellie, and she's still there and she's so cute. She follows me on Instagram and I see your little hearts. It makes me so happy. But she believed in me long before I did. So I started advertising with them, I think in 2015. And at the time, the algorithm was incredible. I mean, they were really responsible for driving a lot of my initial bigger clients and work and just being discovered because of the search engine and everything on Google. It still helps a lot. I still think it's a good idea to be on House Pro. because it does bump you in the Google search for sure. I mean, it's indisputable.
An early adopter. I think that's true
Yeah.
in any platform that a designer gets on first. When they're in that first round, they're
Yeah.
really like grandfathered into that early algorithm. They're really favored. So that really pays off.
Yeah. But the rest of it really honestly is relationships. It was so cute because I'm really grateful. I've had a lot of neat opportunity to take designers on tours like Interior Design Society. A lot of their designers are primarily designers in living spaces. And so we're trying to kind of bridge the gap for them to go into kitchen and bath. And they'll ask me when I'm on those tours with them through KBIS, which is gigantic. They're like, how do you do it? How does it work? You know, and just to have them see that they don't have to adopt all the shoulds, that they can just be themselves and be comfortable in their own skin and find their way and be encouraged is great because it is. I mean, it's a loud world of should, and you should keep up and you should do this and you should do that. But really, when it comes down to it, a referral and the relationships is where it'll make you or break you. Honestly.
What inspired you to take the entrepreneurial path and start your own interior design firm as opposed to staying in someone else's firm?
Well, it was an accident. I mean, when my son was in first grade, my grandma was really sick and my parents took care of her at home. And she and I were very close. And she was always just a very encouraging presence. She never like gave me a directive. She never gave me any criticism. She was just the sweet, wonderful, supportive, safe place grandma. But I think she was worried about me at the time, and she had good reason to. I wasn't in the best marriage. It wasn't always safe. She could see I wasn't really okay. And one day I visited her every day before I went to get my son from school. And one day she said, what do you know, like, I'd like to know what you plan to do with the rest of your life. She never just had like a direct question like that. And I said, I know, Grandma, I'm not sure. And she said, why don't you be an interior designer? Everyone knows you were born to do that. I said, I don't know. Because some of the designers in my area growing up, my father's a jewelry designer. So every once in a while they come into a shop. And as a little girl, I'd kind of experience that. And they weren't always warm. And I just didn't want that affect to be commuted to me by virtue of my profession, because people matter to me a lot. She said, well, your father's a jewelry designer and he's the most kind, wonderful, humble, amazing dad and father. I don't know why you'd be any other way as an interior designer. She said, I know that lady in that Rotary Club wants to hire you. I want you to call her today when you go home. And then tomorrow I want you to let me know how it went. I couldn't disappoint her because she never asked me to do anything. So I got the courage. I called the lady. She hired me on the spot. And thank God I've never really been without a project. I mean, in the ups and downs of life, which have been dramatic, still there's always been a project to think about or work on. I went back to school 5 years later because I wanted to be educated. I wanted a degree. I wanted to join ASID because to me, that was like, you are legit. This is not a hobby. And I needed that for myself based on my former marriage relationship. It was not a hobby. So it felt good for my own self to get that done. I appreciate ASID because you asked about ASID, IDS, and KBA. Those, you can make a lot of mistakes in design if you don't really, like, because you don't know what you don't know. It's like everything in life, right? If you don't know what to watch for, if you don't know what to look for, if you don't have the education, if you aren't in continuing education, if you aren't constantly looking at new products, you can make some really expensive mistakes. And even if you have done all that, you can still make expensive mistakes. But the likelihood of that is mitigated significantly if you have a great network of professionals that you can call and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, or, oh, do you know about that? Or do you have a good resource for this? And most of it comes from those professional organizations. I'm doing a project for a return client in San Diego right now. And a connection I met through ASID, our region is Chico to Bakersfield and the whole state of Nevada. And I just love her, Stacy Young. She has Innovative Kitchens in San Diego, or not in San Diego, in Las Vegas. And she's doing my client's whole house in San Diego.
Oh, wow.
And we're doing there. And because we have the same values, you know, because I think in part because of our association with ASID and also on other levels, we're having the best time. And she is so kind, and she really understands what I go through as a designer because she's been in the kitchen design world for 27 years. So I don't have to say things like, do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? How about, she does know what I mean, and I'm not alone. So it's a huge value. And I accidentally became the president. A lot of things happen accidentally. Or I would say by God's providence, all these things happened and caught me off guard. But I ended up the president of ASID and for our region. And I'm really glad I did too, because it forced me out of my comfort zone. Like, that's why I went to Las Vegas market for the first time. I don't know if I ever would have gone otherwise. I might not have had the guts. And it's not bad to be forced out of your comfort zone and learn new things, because then you make new friends, new alliances, and all these things I just kind of shared. Like you meet your people. Otherwise, you're kind of in a silo and it stinks.
How did having a dad who was a jewelry designer help inform your design aesthetic, your style, what you do as a designer?
It's pretty much everything, to be honest. I credit my parents with all of it, because my dad was the jewelry designer. My mother ran the business. They had their own little jewelry store. It was antiques and beautiful Karistan wool rugs and artwork and beautiful lamps and ferns and live flowers. And there was an aesthetic, and there was always fresh coffee, and there was always a smile. And in retail, it does not matter what's happening at home. It does not matter what was just texted to you. You are on, and your life is great, and you are there for the client, period. And that is a discipline, I think, that is hard to pick up if you aren't raised. I always tease my parents, well, I was raised in retail. That smile, and you're always on and happy. But, people say fake it till you make it. But if you put a smile on your face and you are invested in someone else, it does kind of start to naturally kind of roll along. But, my parents always had classical music in the background. It was an elevated experience. Their packaging, their branding, everything they did, there was a special tone about it that was elevated but approachable. And I really honestly taken everything they did and just like remade it for interior design. Like, I have these little boxes, and people unwrap them like a present when they look at their presentation. And we do special little trips, design focused things that just expand their experience. And even my Instagram, like a lot of the stuff on the feed has like classical music in the background. And it's not to be stuffy. It's just to be like quiet and respectful of wherever they're at, coming into this world to find out, who they might invite into their home to help them make it special and just for them. So, it's just, I kind of like by osmosis, right? I didn't understand what an incredible education I was getting as a little girl, but now, wow, I couldn't have had a better example, honestly.
The classical music in the background is such a beautiful way of bridging the digital experience and the in-person work that you do. I think that's really neat.
Thank you. it is highly curated. It was so cute. Our neighbor, I just love her so much. She's going to be a senior this year at Sonoma State, and she was home for the summer and kind of bored. And she turned 21 last summer, and she's like, I want to get together. I want to say hi. And I was like, oh, So she came over, we had a little glass of wine, and we were being so glamorous. She's like, I'm kind of bored. I said, oh, do you want to work on social for me? So she's so cute because she does social for her sorority. And so she has a lot of skill, but she had to learn, like, everybody always teases me the Wendy way. It's like, it's very highly curated and very safe and very kind and very not mostly what you see on Instagram.
Right. It's calm and refined.
Yeah. And cheerful and not
a sorority kegger. Yeah. That's hilarious.
A friend, she was so cute. She was filming for 4th of July, and we had a big neighborhood party because my son was home from college for just like a week, and I had a neighbor make Jello. I didn't have her make Jello shots. She said, "I'm gonna make Jello shots." I was like, "Okay." Like panning, and she was getting like the Doritos chips and the Jello shots. I'm like, no, this is not. No. Because I mean, it was fun for all the guests. It was great, but it doesn't live on my in my everyday experience.
Right.
Or
pan the camera that way. Yeah. That's hilarious. Okay, my other question was, what's the most expensive mistake you've made, and how did it inform how you changed your business practices?
I think just money out of pocket. The most expensive decision I made was I specified a day bed for a client, and she has just this darling little bungalow house. And I've never had this happen before. I know it happens a lot in cities with like older buildings, but the day bed wouldn't fit down the hallway. Idiot rookie move. And my husband's a glass and storefront guy. So he went with a guy from his office, from the shop, and they took the window out. And
oh, wow.
We stood it back in. We had to put it back in. And my husband came home at the end of the day and he said, you know, I'm sure this will never happen again, but should it, just buy it and get something else. So relationally and financially, that was a poor choice. But there's, I think, a big emotional cost people pay in this business. And, you're starting to hear about it a little bit more, but not setting appropriate boundaries is a huge emotional price to pay. And honestly, harder than the financial ones, because the financial ones, yeah, it hurts to write the check, but you're not out of business. You can make it again. But the emotional price you pay, it's like your energy bank just goes, and you can get kind of burned out. So again, it's just like being honest with yourself about who you are and what you can really do. And in the past, it was like a little more easygoing about vendors I would work with or people that clients wanted to bring into the projects. But especially with 2020 and everything that happened with supply chain, the very first phone call now I say, I just want to be transparent and tell you that this is the list of vendors and subs I use because I believe in them and I trust them and I know they'll do the right thing for you. And I want you to know that now, because if you would like to do something different, I want you to be able to do something different, but know that I can't be your person because I don't have any more emotional bandwidth. It's gone. Like all gone. And they actually really respond well to that because I think they appreciate honesty and they appreciate that I'm doing it for their protection and mine. It's out of the blue.
It's always mutually beneficial. And especially like you mentioned, the last few years, it's been crazy. And like what you experienced and you got burned out didn't exist in a silo. They experienced that too.
Yeah.
So that's really important.
That's been a good lesson. It's like keep your, you have a sweet, wonderful, beautiful tribe of people that you love and respect. And that's where you want to solidly stay. all the time.
So switching gears a little bit, it's always fun to talk about trends, although they can be kind of fleeting. What role does keeping up with trends play in your design process and in the work you create for your clients?
Well, it's really important to know what's going on. I mean, I work in California's Central Valley, so it's fairly traditional. Even when we do very high contemporary, there are notes of quietness, softness in there. Mixed. So I know who my people are, but everybody wants to know what's new and fun and interesting. So it's part of my professional duty to them to be able to say, oh, I saw this at High Point, or oh, I saw this at Vegas Market, or I'm very excited that I get to go to Paris with my friends, Sarah and Emma, who own that retail store I told you about, and my publicist, Serena. And we're going to go to Maison and we're going to see it all.
Very exciting.
And then I can bring that to clients. So trends inform what I do, but they don't dictate what I do. But it's key to know what's happening. You can't be under a rock, right? Because that's professional death, probably.
Is there a trend right now that you love or one that you're excited to see go away?
I love that more now than before. Anything goes. I feel like, and I think now people are starting to understand having a Pinterest house doesn't mean you're going to be happy. Because there is a Pinterest house, but people don't hire me so their house looks like everybody else's house. It needs to work for them. The materials, how the materials wear, how things are put together, how it's organized, what is the layout, what is the flow, how does it work? So again, taking clues from trends, but making it special and unique to the client. And it's so cute. Actually, I have this client right now. She loves Renaissance fairs. It is a big deal. She likes dragons more even than fairies. And if you're in like a Renaissance world, that's, I guess, a big deal. I don't know. I've gone to one Renaissance fair and I ate a turkey leg and it was fantastic. That's like my total experience. It even has like medieval weapons. But she's the sweetest lady. And she has like her Bibles open on her coffee table and she's working on her Bible study. And so she's like, she's her own self, her own human. So rather than do a typical kitchen, we incorporated Gothic arches into glass front cabinet doors. We did this beautiful plaster Cadillac hood with like a rustic wood trim. And we're going to invent her own coat of arms and hang it on there. The lighting is really unique and kind of old world and cool. The backsplash tile is like an early Christian cross theme with all these incredible colors. And then we pulled the colors out for 3 different colors of cabinetry. There's a stain, a blue, and like a cream color. I mean, that is her kitchen. And that's what's fun. Like, I know what's out there, so I know what I can pull in that makes sense for her to make it like a practical kitchen that she can really enjoy because she's a real cook. She's not like, I want a cute kitchen because it's cute. She really cooks a lot, but it is her kitchen. And that's just so fun.
That's a really fun project. That's very cool. Very cool.
But contractors are like, dude, did you know she has like weapons? I'm like, yeah, I know. We're going to put them way up there on that weird soffit thing that we couldn't get rid of because structurally we couldn't take it apart. And we're going to light it and everything with a tapestry.
That sounds amazing. Oh my gosh, how fun.
He's so cute. I'm so grateful. So,
okay, finish the sentence. Clients hire me over my competition because.
they know I care about them as people. And that can get messy because, like I have a client I've been working for since 2016. We renovated her existing home with the plan to do an addition, and now we're working on a cabin for her. So if you're not into emotional risk, that's probably not the way to do business, because she's been through a lot. Her mother passed away, her sister passed away. She had to become caretaker of her two nieces because they were in an abusive situation. Her husband got bone cancer.
God.
So you're in it with them. I really feel like, well, I know that my purpose is really to meet clients in a way that helps them feel seen and heard and cared for. Also, all of my clients have helped me in a way and have taught me important lessons and modeled something that I needed to learn or see about my own self. So I get very attached. So I would not be a good designer for a person who doesn't want to let me get to know them so I can do the right things for them. Like this kind of thing. I probably wouldn't be that great for them.
That's really interesting.
Like, I don't want people to think they have to be like in the depths of despair for me to be their designer. Like, we got fantastic things like births of babies and weddings and all these things too that I've been able to celebrate with her. But the core is they know I will not put anything in that house or bring anyone to that house that I don't believe in 100%. I did have a contractor let me down profoundly on a job that I never would have expected to let me down. And so I have taken on a whole new level of responsibility for that project till it's finished. But I owe it to the client because they trusted me, and I would rather, well, it's not probably say, it's probably a little dramatic to say I would rather die. Like, it would absolutely kill me if I thought the clients didn't know how much I care and I want their project finished in a beautiful way with trustworthy people so they can relax and just know that it will happen. So that's taken me down that's another one of those emotional costs. You can write that down too. Oh.
Do you have a favorite project of yours or one that you found particularly rewarding?
The ones where your clients really trust you, like they get to know you and then they say, no, I really trust you. And then they let me do the whole job, beginning to end, down to like the toss pillow. That way, I mean, it's such a joy to really be able to articulate your vision completely for clients that you care about and that you want the best for. It's so cute because then they walk in and they're like, oh, Wendy, how do you know me? Like this. But it's just like knowing somebody trusts you. I mean, that is everything. I get to work for beautiful families and individuals and couples who have incredible projects that they're trusting me with. I now am entering a phase of work where the projects are larger than they were before. I get to work with an architect I admire so much, and we get along so well, Evan Zeff, locally. We were recently connected through one of my favorite cabinet guys. He said, Wendy, I just think you would love Evan. He's amazing. He's enthusiastic like you. You guys would have so much fun. So I brought him in on a project, and we've just really hit it off. And now we're helping multiple clients together. And I heard Gretchen Rubin on the Happier podcast talking with her sister one day, and she said, what would have happened if our 12-year-old selves knew where we would end up? I mean, I'm good.
What a perfect note to end on. Wendy, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love getting to know you. This is great.
Thank you, Courtney. I really appreciate your time and your interest. Thank you.
For sure. All right. Have a great rest of the day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.